Nigerian government have proven to us that they are in charge of terrorism in Nigeria. And this is why terrorists will continue to kidnap innocent citizens, terrorize the whole country, killing our soldiers. And at the end of the day, they will be invited for peace talk. Tomorrow, they will still come out and contest for politics. And they will definitely become the president of the country. This is why terrorism and banditry have become the side jobs of the politicians. And they are all doing it and succeeding.
This soldier expressing his frustration at politicians for organizing peace meetings and negotiating directly with terrorists who massacred their people. The past few days alone, more than 50-something security agents lost their lives in the hands of these terrorists. No one is saying anything about it, but the truth is we can't blame the politicians alone without blaming the army commanders. It is their responsibility to take over all the ungoverned spaces where these terrorists thrive. Their failure to do that has forced the governors and other politicians to enter into negotiation with these terrorists. Not that it is right, but every action equals a reaction. Now, consider this: if Nigeria were to be under a military regime, the military will obviously be in charge of administration of the country, protecting our borders, fighting off all incursions, terrorists and all that. Are you trying to say that this war would have been going on for the past 10 years? If they are in charge of everything in Nigeria, who will they blame at that point? So it's not a matter of just pointing the finger at the politicians. Not that they don't have their own blame, but we must question the military tactics of the commanders. What are their priorities? Take for instance this surveillance video from the military. They are here watching the terrorists closing in on a military base. They are supposed to call in an airstrike, an air support. They are supposed to have a perimeter around every military base in the theater, at least like 5-kilometer radius or even 10-kilometer radius. They are supposed to make sure that once they spot something, they will call in air support, whether a fighter jet or a drone. They should strike the target and make sure none of them escapes. You see, when fighting this war, they call it kinetic approach. You also fight it psychologically. You have to send a message to the terrorists. Anyone planning to join these groups will be forced to change his mind when he hears the fact that one group that went to attack to take over a military base, that none of them ever returned. This is the right message you need to send to them, so that anyone joining will already know that all the people that did this never returned. So it's a guarantee that the person is not going to return. So he will think twice before joining or picking up arms against the country, against the military, to go and attack a military base, kill our soldiers and pack all the military equipment there and start using our own military equipment to fight and massacre our people. It does not make any sense. It's such a pity that our soldiers are paying the ultimate price because of the incompetence of these army commanders. It does not make any sense at all that they can't give a chase. In situations where they give a chase, they drop off halfway. They don't comb the entire perimeter to make sure nothing breathes there. That is the reality. This is how you fight the war. This is how you send the message that this is the army, the Nigerian army, that is responsible for fighting all insurgents, all terrorists, all incursions into our borders. So going by how they are fighting this war, it's very clear that the army commanders don't want this war to end, despite having a massive budget of 1.2 trillion naira every year. Yes, that's according to El-Rufai, the former governor of Kaduna State. He said that Tinubu votes 100 billion naira as security vote every month. Mind you, this is not budgeted for. It's just security vote. They dip their hands into the treasury and take 100 billion naira every month. So if the army commanders are receiving this amount of money every month, they don't have any reason at all not to end this war. Like already said, consider if Nigeria is under a military regime. Would they vote upwards of 100 billion naira every month to fight the terrorists? Absolutely not. They won't do that. But here we are in a civilian regime. They are budgeting 100 billion every month, and the army is still giving excuses. When you see some of them like this soldier, instead of blaming the commanders, he's begging the issue, blaming only the politicians. The politicians have their blame. For instance, if Tinubu promised Nigerians that he will end insurgency and terrorism, and he appoints military men as service chiefs, more than 2 years in, there's still terrorism in Nigeria, Not only Nigerian soldiers that are paying the ultimate price, people are being massacred in many places. Why can't he sack the people he felt they were competent? It's very simple. Use them as an example. Hey, I appointed you to make sure you end insurgency and terrorism. Why has it continued to fester more than 2 years? So you give the person the boot. If you sack him and appoint another person, that person will sit up because there's already a precedent. He knows that if he wants to stay on the seat, he must be competent. Even if it involves him going to the theater to make sure he motivates the soldiers, to make sure they receive every support that they need. All the time you hear soldiers at the front lines saying that their allowances have not been paid. Can you imagine? People that are defending this country dying for no reason. They can't even pay them to do the job. So these are the issues. Politicians don't even care about solving insecurity. They might even be happy that the military commanders are not spending that money where they're supposed to spend it. To spend it on the soldiers fighting at the front lines in order to motivate them to give their more than 100%. They might be happy that they are spending the money on themselves, laundering it abroad, buying properties abroad, so as to have a leverage on them, so as to buy their complete loyalty. Because someone that is enjoying this kind of thing will never allow anything to happen to their bosses. That's the reality. So they are more interested in the loyalty instead of saving Nigerians from all these unnecessary deaths. Yes, another psychological boost to the terrorists the military must always avoid going forward is the constant invasion of military bases in Nigeria. Whether the military base is a forward military base or any base at all, they shouldn't allow them to always invade a military base. A military base is supposed to be very fortified. In fact, terrorists should be very afraid of approaching near a military base in Nigeria. But every day you hear them, they invade a military base, kill our soldiers, cut away modern equipment. It's as if these military commanders set up these military bases for the terrorists to come and invade without resistance. They will cut away military equipment and regroup and come back. It never ends. The cycle continues. And also, every time you hear them talking about who is funding the terrorists, it seems as if the Nigerian army is also funding them. Every time they invade a military base and cut away equipment, it's a sort of funding the terrorists. And in reality, these terrorists are able to fund their war against Nigeria by all the kidnappings that go on. They kidnap peasant farmers and in the end, they pay ransom to regain their freedom. All this money coming into them plus all the taxes they collect. In most of these ungoverned spaces, you don't have policemen, you don't have the army, the terrorists are in charge. The villagers sometimes, they prefer not to run away because they will end up in IDP camps. They will not be able to do anything. Some also don't get the opportunity to escape from their villages once these terrorists have taken over. So it's very simple for them to do the job if they want to do the job. If they truly want to handle this insecurity once and for all, it cannot take them up to more than a week. Yes, to finish up the job. You don't chase them and stop halfway. No, you have to chase them till the end, till the last man is taken. Yes, it psychologically sends a message like already said. But all the time, you hear them invading military bases, killing our boys for nothing because the military base is not well fortified. It's supposed to be under 24-hour surveillance to make sure there is no incursion. But you see, like in that video, they see terrorists approaching a military base, they do nothing. They fail to call in air support. What type of military is that? It is time to stop this humiliation. How many times do you hear that a foreign army lost a military base to terrorists? Even the ones operating in an active war zone, they never lose a military base. They understand what it means. The terrorists will use it as a propaganda. They will film the entire military base and use it to convince their new recruits that they are very powerful, that the Nigerian army can't do anything, that they can't stand them, that they can conquer the entire north, even up to Abuja and to southern Nigeria without resistance. It will motivate the new recruits. They will say, we are joining a terrorist group that has the capacity to win against an army of a country. Yes. So it's time for the Nigerian army commanders to understand this. Let them be patriotic for once in their lives. Everything shouldn't be about money. Nigerians are facing this huge disgrace, a collective humiliation that terrorists are more powerful than the Nigerian army. How can that be? With all the billions of dollars spent to equip the Nigerian army the past decade alone, under Muhammadu Buhari spent billions of dollars buying military equipment. Even under Tinubu they bought some, and they still can't fight these people. Yes, Nigeria's economy can never grow under this terrorism. They need to put a stop to it. They need to fight these people. They are not more powerful than them, and ultimately stop Nigerian soldiers from paying the ultimate price. That's the reality. These are the people that are at the war front. They deploy them all the time, but they are left without support. These terrorists invade and massacre them and cut away all the equipment. It doesn't make any sense. It's time for them to put a stop to all this. They can do it. The Nigerian army of the old did it in other countries. Why can't this modern army do it in our own country? Thanks for watching.